Welcome, everybody. My name is E.R. Anderson. I'm the executive director of Charis Circle. Charis Circle is the nonprofit programming arm of Charis Books. Charis Books is the South's oldest independent feminist bookstore, and we are joined tonight with all of our friends from Cliterati to celebrate Karen G's brand new book, Driving into Midnight. We're going to celebrate our co-hostess with the mostess, Karen G, at the end of tonight's reading, but we will begin with spoken word and poetry by community members. So I'm going to kick it over to Theresa Davis first, and then we will close out by celebrating Karen G and having some cake even. So welcome to you all. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, hello, virtual friends and friends in the room. I am Theresa Davis. Karen G is our feature tonight, but we'll also be, okay, how do you want to do this? We should have talked about this before.
Yeah, we should have talked about it.
Yeah, we actually live together. We should have had many conversations. Like, how is this night gonna go? So do you want to just wait until your feature?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna hear some poems from me and two other people, unless somebody else in the room is inspired and they want to like get in here and do something, a little something. I like how y'all keep looking at each other when we know that's not going to actually happen. So I had the opportunity to do a festival. I haven't done a festival in years. And I did a festival on last Saturday. And it was the Red Oak Festival. It was really, really cool. But it was one of those interesting spaces to where, oh yeah, I agreed to do it. And then they were like, and then like 3 emails after I agreed, they were like, oh, by the way, family friendly material. And I was like,
oh no.
Now I got a Rolodex. And there are people who don't even know what that is in the world. So I had to go like find poetry that was like in that vein of being family friendly. Everybody had to, I hate editing myself on stage because usually a worse curse word comes out. So I was really trying hard not to do that. But I went back to Simon Says. So Simon Says is a chapbook that I did when I won the Emergent Artist Grant when I first started writing and doing all these things, right? And so they gave me enough money to make this chapbook, right? And the whole book is basically anti-bullying themes when it's the teacher who was actually a bully in the classroom and also possibly classmates, right? At the time I was teaching middle school. So my nephew Riley is on the cover of this book because he's a biracial child who at the age of 5 when he started kindergarten was so damn pretty and would get so offended if anybody compared him to a girl or said anything like that. He was so offended, right? And so the first day of kindergarten, this is when this picture was taken, he gets out of kindergarten and I was like, so how was your day? He was like, some people tried to bully me. And I was like, what does that mean? And he was like, well, they were saying this, they were saying that. I'm like, okay, all right, I get that. I said, so how did you fix it? He's like, I told him I can move trees with my mind. And I thought, you're either a genius or someone that's going to be scary later in life. But I've never heard quite a response to bullying or what was perceived as bullying as that. And I figured he scared people. But it brought me back to this book. And so I wanted to read this piece that I read over at the festival. I should dog ear things. I had to edit it a lot. I'm going to do the unedited version. And I actually had to poll the audience and say how many people in here actually know who Freddie Mercury is. Okay. Are we familiar with the war in Iraq? Okay. So this is Simon Says. Don't you remember that time in your life when you were all arms and awkward intention, aggression wrapped in a barbed wire heart, when you were minx, sass, teeny bopper, borderline juvenile delinquent, when the closest you wanted to be to other people was way the F word over there? When your body turned battlefield, bones aching, tonal war of vocal cords when you didn't know where you fit, but you wanted to so badly. You buried whatever you thought could be held against you in the backyard next to G.I. Joe and Barbie. Now, this is the part of the poem where I need you to remember who you used to be so you fully understand, appreciate what happens next. For the 6th grade science teacher, who after a female in his class asked to be excused twice during his lesson, felt it was appropriate to announce to her classmates that it must be her time of the month. Before your statement, science was her favorite subject. She was going to cure cancer, return renegade memories to Alzheimer's patients. She hates science now. And what I think she really means is that she hates you. But the cause and effect of your forked tongue has left her casualty, period. And for the 7th grade English teacher who in her infinite wisdom saw fit to suspend a 13-year-old boy for 3 days because the wind blew at the wrong time and, well, things became erect. Now, she doesn't understand why he won't talk to her, why he is so cautious in her classroom turned minefield. He is silent because that is the one thing he can control. And since you seem determined to punish him for the things that he can't, why would he give you more ammunition? He is cautious because you have turned the enemy camp. And now you want to scream zero tolerance. Like that's synonymous with hijack your own common sense. I have zero tolerance policy in my classroom. Talk to him. One of my tests, watch me. Hand grenade, launch your efforts, file them into the nearest spherical filing receptacle. But in 2009, when Simon stood erect, slammed a pencil on his desk in the middle of one of my math tests and said, Miss Theresa, I'm just saying, if Freddie Mercury were alive today, we would not be at war with Iraq. And I think 3 things simultaneously. First, I think he knows who the fuck Freddie Mercury is. Second, I think his parents are awesome because he knows who Freddie Mercury is. And third, I think, he could be right. And who am I to punish him for his insight when teaching our children? We have to remember that we were once one of them, and shaming them about these bodies they are trying to invade, these voices they are struggling to own, it will not win us their trust. It will only render us untrustworthy. So educators, choose your battles. Quiet your voice sometimes so you can better hear theirs. Do this, and I guarantee our young people, they will rock you. I used to write some really cool poems. I think I need to revisit this and maybe make it its own, like I look like this now and not look like this. Yes. So this is another one that I shared, and this one did not go over as well as I thought it would because I feel like people thought I was Republican shaming them, and I was. Damage control.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Her eyes are the color of a brewing storm. She sits so her back is straight, guarding herself. Her lips tremble slightly. I take my seat, refuse the urge to ask her what's wrong, so instead I ask what's on her mind. She shakes her head and almost no, eyes down, so she doesn't want me to see them glistening, fists clenched in her lap. I say, if I didn't know better, I think you were swearing in your head. I receive an almost grin. I continue. I think there are 2 groups of people on the planet who are the meanest in the world. She shows me her eyes, wants to ask, but is not ready to share her voice. One group, and mind you, not all of them, I say, are between the ages of 11 and 13, and you might know a few of them. She looks away. She nods. This is going to sound lame, I say. Do y'all still say lame? A yes nod. You have to remember that they can only hurt you with their words if you allow it. And I know it's easy for me to say that, but think about it. Make their words kryptonite make their kryptonite words your talisman. Kryptonite, she says. Yeah, that's the stuff that makes Superman weak. Supergirl too? Yep. And the talisman is a charm, I tell her, or a feeling that you think about to make you stronger. So if they call you ugly, imagine they are calling you beautiful. The best way to piss off a word bully is to make yourself magic. I've had to do it many times. You will too, unless they win. What happens if they win? she asks. Well, you become one of them. Now she looks righteously pissed off at me and unclenches her fist, shows me her eyes, and declares, my words will never be anyone's kryptonite. I smile. So does she. She wipes her face, ready to rejoin her mean, maybe one day friends. Miss Theresa, she says, you said there were two groups of mean people in the world. Who are the other ones? Politicians, I say. She nods knowingly. Yeah, I won't be one of those either. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we have two folks on the list, unless the folks that came in want to sign up. I'm going to sign you up. Anybody else? All right. I'm going. Amalia, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How was your pride?
It was good. We went to pride together. It was great.
Yay! Awesome. Y'all give it up. Woo-hoo.
Hey, y'all. Okay. Wynn always makes fun of me because I never know what I'm going to read till I get up here. So let's scroll through the poem notes and pick one. Okay. I'll start with this one. I so often wish I wasn't myself. Wish I craved simpler things. Early morning yoga or summers on the beach. Wish I wanted the easy life, on my own by the shoreline, collecting seashells for picture frames, eating lobster rolls with sunburnt shoulders, content with the silence. Instead, I crave noise. Beds creaking, shoes shuffling, bags slamming to the ground in the rush, neighbor complaints and sleeping too late, toothpaste wrung past its limit on the counter, out of hand soap once again, late night bodega runs for chips and hot pepper salsa, hiding in an alley from the storm, socks soaked in the subway car, nails breaking on the front door key, the steady tingling of the hallway clock. I so often wish I could be different, that I was given the smaller fight. I could have handled it better, I think. The ache I harbor wouldn't have sunk so low. I could have been so much stronger, with more time to form healthier calluses that sting with my permission. This fight's too big for me, it seems, although I know I'm brave enough, looks like I'm not the strong one. I've got miles of stones in the skin of my feet to say otherwise, and fuck it if I'm not stubborn enough to try. But if I fail, sweet angel, forgive me. I'm not who I wish I was. Yay. Thank you. Great. Here's one. When you go out late, I always hope you'll come back wanting me. Those deep eyes running into mine as you lock your arms around my neck, 3 whiskey sours wrapping around my nose, and I know something good is coming, but you never do. You say, I love you, I missed you, I wish you came. And we hold each other into another heavy sleep. I'm so grateful, you know, so in awe of the love you show me. I wish you'd show it differently. Sadly, I wish you craved my skin the way I ache for yours. You can say it's not my fault all you want, but my body rejects the idea that I could ever do anything right. Oh, so every time I read, that's the response. Oh. Okay, I'll do one more. My mind on the time turner between now and then and what will be. The sound of crunching cicada bodies under the heavy July sun. Dew from the morning's rain tickles my ankles and shifts me awake. What is now, what will be. The mud puddle I'm drowning in constantly whispers of fall draw me back in. I wander midnight sidewalks until my soles turn to dirt, and I remember how to bleed.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. All right, Wynn, we sharing as well. I heard your pride was awesome.
Yeah.
Y'all give it up for Wynn.
I am still kicking these around a little bit. Sorry, I never stand close enough to that.
So hot. Yeah. Tell me your name. Louder.
Deb.
Steph?
Deb.
Deb. Okay. Oh, y'all I was deaf.
Oh, well, that's a little sad. I went down so far. This one is called The Leech. The leech takes a sip and notes that her dinner has gone cold today. The ride is stumbling, unsteady. She curls in closer to the lukewarm skin and decides to go hungry this evening. 3 days later, her stomach is screaming, and the cold has long seeped to her very core. Just beneath is a weakly thudding heart and the sweet, wet warmth of life, enough for one of them. The leech looks up through strands of fur, thicker than the forest she travels through, unseen. Stars shine through the trees, reaching ever more towards the heavens. The leech wonders what creatures might live in those branches, what it might be like to live in a world strong enough to keep her alive. The philosophical leech knows little of death, and even less of what might come after. But tonight she listens to the pounding heart of her home, feels the emptiness inside of her, and decides she does not want to die alone. That's about a leech. This one I wrote last night and have not typed it out yet, so forgive me if I stumble because this is my handwriting. Sometimes it's hard to read. Oh yeah, it gets a little. It gets. So this one is called Brotherhood. I'm gonna scoot it that way because I need the light. Okay. My first binder had bloodstains on it. I remember asking how on earth you managed to get blood there. Remember the awful silence on the phone, thinking, well, I'm sure as shit's not a woman because girls aren't stupid enough to ask. We're so clumsy with ourselves. Maybe trying to make up for the loss of little league bruises, of knuckles broken in brotherhood. We learned to give our blood without even trying, and now we practice the taking, the bandages, the lack of. We practice the blank stares, the it doesn't hurt, the silence on the phone. We practice not talking about it. If it hurts, it's too tight, you tell me, as if I'd know the difference between my heavy heart and my hunched-in shoulders, the dull throb between them, as if ribs weren't made to crack, to splinter and ache, as if the cage inside me hasn't already been pried open, projecting like a bear trap into bitter wind, as if I didn't need something to hold me together again. Cough. I half expect something wet and half-formed to fall into your hands, like the minuscule baby they showed us in health class. Proof that we did something, that we strangled and maimed, that something innocent was inside me and we killed it. But nothing comes out. No black bile, no baby, no rotted defilement of my womanhood, and the next breath comes easier. Hand wash, and don't put it in the dryer unless it starts getting loose. This is woman's work. Swirling suds through water just hot enough to shoot rivulets of pain up the length of my arms, but not hot enough to pull away. Wringing canvas dry, remembering this isn't dough, and not to twist gently. To clench unfamiliar muscles, try to pull out all the stains of us. Stand up straight. My mother's been saying that for years, and I can now. And I'm taller than you. You wrapped around my chest, you forcing shut the blood-stained bear trap. You and your broad shoulders your dad always hated. Now all I can think is that they're good for dancing. Even a little bit taller, I can rest my hands on you from here. And now I know what's bleeding. I know where not to touch. You and me don't have to talk about it. It doesn't have to be fast. I know we both have trouble breathing. I know our ribs are bruised, but you and me and this blood we share between us should dance tonight in brotherhood.
Nice.
All right. Good, right?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Okay.
Just making sure my COVID brain is working today. Woo. Right now, coming to the mic right now, Billy!
Woo! Woo!
Thank you. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
So 30/30 is coming up, which means I have to come up with like
Holy shit.
I have to come up with like contrived reasons to write poems. And there's a Dodie Bellamy quote, which is 1,000 bedrooms couldn't solve my problems. So I'm like, I'll just write 1,000 bedrooms.
Oh my God, yes.
So this is the first bedroom poem. This is where the magic happens. The sleight of hand illusion, the comfy bed sighing under its blankets, and so far from the door. The soft pink light and its cup of shadows, the bright cartoons on the screen, the smothering of pillows, the marshmallow tigers, the everything soft. Everything covered in a wilderness of comfort, the bed frame that sinks lower every day, the Venetian blinds, the by inches drowning of Venice, the water damage, the trash on the floor in the corner, the food wrappers and dinner plates the tigers won't touch. Don't think about it. Don't strain to see past the pink, the sink, the sleep, the soft earth that pulls down and holds on forever.
Yes.
And I'm also doing a series of Sestina about watching media that I grew up watching and now watching them as a woman. So this is Sestina for the trans woman watching Showgirls.
Oh, right on.
For reference, there's a character in Showgirls. It's the main character. Her name is Nomi, and Joe Esterhaus, the writer, thought he was being very clever by having her named Know Me and also Know Me. So we're playing with that. A comet crashes into Las Vegas, lights it up like a stage for dancing. Out of the rubble struts a girl. Shaking off the ashes of the past, her legs are strong from the westward run to a place she can be new. Because everything here is new, and no one brings their bags to Las Vegas. Who can carry all that and still run? All of that just weighs down the dancing. It's so much easier to strip off the past and reveal the naked new girl. This city was built on the new girl. With her bones, her blood, her body, her name, all new, and she is inked with the shadows of her past. There are murals all over Las Vegas. The neon makes it look like they're dancing, and the dance almost looks like a run to keep up with the lights. Run. Or make room for the next girl. The bodies rot if they're not dancing. The stages go dark without somebody new. These are the only bones in Las Vegas. These are what counts for a past. The girls set fire to their past. And while it burned, they all started to run. With sore feet, they find their Las Vegas, change their names to suit their new girl. They take drugs to make themselves new. When their feet heal, they start dancing. Know me, the girl born dancing. Know me, who burned down her past. Know me, I sacrificed for this new. Know me, see how fast I can run. Know me, this neon-lit girl. Know me, a naked patron saint of Las Vegas. Everything new always starts with dancing. In Las Vegas, they drown out the past, then we run till our feet hurt, until we meet a new girl. And then, this is the last one I'll do. This is Sestina for the trans girl watching The Fly, the Jeff Goldblum fly, not the Vincent Price fly. What is more yielding than the flesh? You daughter of mad science, you who would bubble and rubber your skin, you who would chitin and acid dissolve, the mirror will not make you a monster, no matter what melts away from your body. Praise with the scientist the changing body, this miscalculation that makes skin into monster. Give thanks for your special effect, flesh, your bride of hormone and science. To change, we must first dissolve. Teach machines the whole truth of our skin, rewrite the poems of our skin. Corn syrup baptize the body before the credits let the binary dissolve with their sick gray fear of the flesh, not bug, not boy, but science. And its rebellious six-legged monster, there is beauty hiding in monster. In the buzzing wings of your skin, your every morning is a new kind of science. Your torso, a crackling telepod body, long live the new flesh. Into pixels and light we dissolve. We only eat what we can dissolve. We have to melt our old meanings for monster in the plasma streams of our flesh until they raindrop and bead off our skin. You auteur the film of your body. You Cronenberg beauty to science. You are light years ahead of their science. Watching experts and pundits dissolve and toughen your chitinous body until you're no longer prey for their monsters who politic and red tape your flesh, girl. You have given your body to your own kind of science. Found the love stories in flesh that dissolves into the beautiful monster of your skin.
Oh my God. I just had a flashback of days of like, okay, I just did this new poem. Tell me if it's good. And I'm like, of course it's good. You're going to kick my ass in the slam with it. I look forward to the day. All right. That was beautiful. All of them were beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for being here. Yeah, Deb, it's up to you now. What's happening? What?
To row. That's what's happening.
You're leaving?
No, to row. The name of
Oh,
what I'm reading.
that's okay.
That's what's
I
happening.
didn't know that was
To
going to
row.
happen.
Row.
Is this your first time here?
No, third
No?
time, but second time up.
Second time reading. Okay. Y'all give it up for Deb.
Thank you. So this is a short piece. It's called To Row. Surprise. It's part of a trilogy. I'm just going to read part one. And gosh, it has footnotes, which I'm not going to read the footnotes, but I'll tell you like the intel that you need on 4 things. So one word, there's 4 words. One word is Ganegahaga. It means Mohawk. It is the preferred name that Mohawk people prefer for themselves. Ganegahaga. It means people of the flint. The second word is Nederlands, means Dutch. That's what the Dutch call themselves. The third word is Kiel, which is a Dutch word that means creek. The fourth word is an acronym, NAGPRA. It's a federal law established in 1990, Native American Grave Protection and Repatriation Act, NAGPRA. So those 4 words will come up in 2 row. This is a journey that I took last year to a location where my 10th generation Dutch ancestors were. The port of Albany is a NAGPRA crime scene. So scream the 6 train tracks hurtling to meet me as I drive a road not meant for cars. So whisper the old white estates buried along thick banks of Norman's Kiel. So worries the lone worker, a pale, crumpled man haunted by the emptiness of shipping containers. Bloodless, he smokes at the dusty dead end, taking a lunch break until 3 o'clock. The port of Albany is a NAGPRA crime scene unknown to Albany and to NAGPRA. Towering mounds of scrap metal taunt scattered broken boats and rusted machine parts. Knots of inert silos and nameless warehouses deny any contact with water. Industrial exhaustion blocks every memory that the river is fluent in Ganegahaga and Nederlands. To row.
Thank you so much, Deb. That was heartbreaking and beautiful. So Billy mentioned 30-30. So there's 2 times in the year where writers are like, I'm gonna write things for 30 days. November is one of them. And November is kind of set aside for writing novels or like writing a book or something, right? But poets are like, a poem is a book. So we write poetry. And then there's National Poetry Month, which is in April, and the challenge there is to write a poem a day. So I attempted it this April, and I think I bailed on day 12. And I told myself, you're writing some fucking poems this year. You're going to do 30-30 for November, and you're going to do April. And we're not having a discussion about this. And so I've heard it mentioned like 4 times in the last 3 days. And I'm just like, I made promises to myself. No pressure. Maybe. No. But some really good ideas. So I like the idea of like kind of trying to figure out a thing before you start. I don't think I've ever approached it like that. I've just been like, what pissed me off today? Okay. But I think I should have a better plan. So thank you. And also, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. We have one more open micer before we get to our feature. Kelly, come to the stage. Yeah, well, it's not really a stage, but you know what I'm talking about. The staged place. Kelly, y'all.
The plague with the timing of this one, so we'll see. Oh, let's not kick the thing. All right. As I am sitting at the airport, I overhear a woman say, "I just don't believe in that sort of thing. It's just hokey to me." I think hokey. Hokey like unimaginable, like trauma, like PTSD that doesn't forget, like triggers. I didn't believe in that sort of thing either, that there was some form of higher power or ghosts or ancestors who see us when we don't see them. I really didn't believe until one Sunday dinner at my grandma's, the smell of meatloaf wafting from the oven, the sound of sizzling potatoes accompanied with the smell of butter as it overtook them. I went to the bathroom as I've done countless times in that house. I grew up in that house. Years after the trauma, years after the day of the car accident that still haunts me whenever it feels like it. I'm stopped in my tracks when I see my aunt's face staring at me from the wall. Faces that have stared at me since my childhood. Some of them are strangers that I never got to meet or was too young to remember. Her face has stared at me all of these years, and I never once paid attention to it. All of these memories that are held up in photographs. That photograph was older than I was, yellowed and tattered around the edges. I stand there in a staring contest with a picture from my childhood. And the picture wins. It's a good thing breathing isn't voluntary, or I would have died 1,000 times. I spent all this time thinking it was a stranger who helped me save my girlfriend. Although I had met everyone from the day of the accident, that woman was never anywhere to be found. I never believed before this point, standing there stuck in a dining room that has long lost its glory, old wallpaper slowly peeling off the walls as a way to mark the time passing. I still remember that day like it was yesterday, grabbing my girlfriend and hanging on when the car started to roll. The back of my head won in the battle against the back window of the car when they cracked upon meeting, only for my grip to lose as she was ripped out of my grasp through the window. I do believe it was the woman in the photograph who cradled her and kept her safe, unlike her kids that she couldn't do that with because she never even got to see them grow up. She laid her down gently on the pavement for me to find when I got out of the burning car. Still barely alive when I got there, I watched my girlfriend take her last breath. I screamed as loud and hard as I could when this happened. I screamed like someone would hear me. I screamed like, please hear me. I screamed like, please help me. I screamed like, please don't let her die. I screamed like it would awake the dead. I screamed like my ancestors would hear me and be moved to intervene. I screamed until the woman in the picture showed up. It told me how to do CPR, told me what to do to keep her breathing until help arrived, kept her safe, kept me safe, did for me what she couldn't do for herself when a drunk driver took her life in 1990 when I was only 6 years old. My family tells me my aunt was my favorite person, and I have absolutely no memory of that. Until one day, I stared at her picture in my grandma's dining room. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but that picture is worth so much more than that. That picture saved my life.
Thank you for sharing. That was Kelly, everybody. Yay! So, I'm going to introduce our feature, who is my friend and my roommate and We will never tell you where the bodies are buried. Not gonna fucking happen. But I'm looking at this bio, and I've seen the bio, and I was like, you do so much more than this. So I'm gonna read what I should have wrote, but I wasn't asked. Karen Garrabrant, aka Karen G. Everybody knows Karen G. Co-founded Cliterati, a womanix queer gender outlaw open no mic, but you know we upgraded because we have a mic now. Was a founding board member of the Girls Rock Camp ATL, a slam manager for the Art Amok Slam team. She operated as poet and organizer in Atlanta for 20 plus years, a clock holder, scorekeeper, MC bout manager, tournament director, and PSI secretary with a stake of attending every big event from 2004 to 2007, except one. I missed 3. Karen loved slam poetry, and then, you know, there's emails and Instagram and Facebook stuff. But Karen G also is one of the people in the poetry community who, I first met when I first started doing poetry. She is also the gifter of the best hug you could ever receive in your life. She also has diligently for years helped everybody around her get published. She's edited manuscripts. She's edited poetry. She's done all these things for other people. She introduced me to slam, and so many other voices to slam. So she is a treasure, and we're gonna fix this shit. But this is a person you want in your life and you want on your side. So I want y'all to put your hands together for my friend and yours, Karen G.
Y'all gonna make me cry. That's easy though. Okay. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you, virtual friends, for showing up too. This book would not have happened without community. For outrageous voices, Avengers, empath ninjas, library people, slam poets, people who made me, who are here, people I love, Adam Rubenstein and Sue McMillan, poets who are family that I've made. And some of these poems were written a lot of these poems were written like during the plague. They were also written in my friend Shannon and Elliot's house, and I'm so glad that they're here while I was in quarantine. So I'll start with a couple years ago, the plague field note, bees and insects. There's a pulling at the edges of the sidewalks as sunsets and twilight urgency. People, myself included, hurry into the park for a place to sit, eating a last-minute takeout dinner, or wrapping up a circuit walk. There's so many panting runners, panting dogs. People still look at me funny when I'm wearing a mask, as if carrying the wrong date for Halloween. Stay in now, save Halloween. This is the logic, even with plague, knowing from history that plagues last 4 to 8 years, have unpredictable timelines, but better save the fake holiday and appropriated Day of the Dead rituals for capitalism. The white lady friends in tennis skirts still get the 6-foot distancing wrong. I felt them murmuring as I sat on the bench, scribbling, eventually deciding to walk past me anyway, instead of walking the squares of death plots to avoid me. The social dance of distancing here is square, an almost hospitable do-si-do. The dead distance better than the living. 6 feet away, 6 feet under. The sunset slanting in the leaves from the west illuminates stained glass into glowing electrified rectangles, or squares from the corner of an eye inset between mausoleum stones. The images here are a manuscript, only rearranged on the shelves by our movements. I'm the iris-checking lady, the one who peers at their bibs and into their faces, noticing the tiny bugs that live on the stems, the mite-like dots, the maybe fruit flies who love them, as well as the bumblebees flying in their patterns. The cool of the evening moves in, and so do the cop cars. Pigtail and shiny, water bug black, slick with oiled guns in hatred's holsters. Law enforcement edging and lumbering around the corners outside begins around 6 p.m. with a side eye of blue paint and windshield. The drones hum too, in their distinctive not airplane closeness. I remember in the before, when the hospital heliport received the same clipped wing sound and how it brought me joy. The thought of an organ needing to be delivered, or maybe a patient transported. Now the sounds and sights are more cutting. I feel the sky lower more than just the sundials. Sundials reverting to a more accurate measure of time than a digital clock. What day is it? The sunset tells us to go home, tuck ourselves away for dinner. Clouds sit heavier on our foreheads now, like a lid on the terrarium closing. Stay inside! Stay afraid! I feel even the people displaced who live outside are in some fashion being scurried to find a roof, an awning, another place to put themselves, at least until the next under exit ramp raid. Exit ramp, the words an irony. Picking up my things when I take the long way home, I see the security guards of buildings and cops on community corners, or a few of their cruisers bumper to bumper, cockroaches engaged in conversation. Pushing my limit toward 8 p.m. curfew as the sun stays up longer. From my room, I hear the large insects in their chopper patterns overhead, a distant siren somewhere smaller than the train whistle, and the last of the motorcycle gangs making the most of more vacant 85-95 for their raceway bee buzzing and whining. This is how the night folds up now, tighter than the laces of my last corset. And I got COVID. View from inside the virus. Positive day 1 into 2 into 3, counting backwards, the view from here is, I don't want to die. I have too much life to live in this life. I have not finished a will. It is panic attack and distorted breathing with a mask on, and not looking at the face of who brought me here, hanging my head out the open window of next gentrification block of green insulation squares. I tested 5 times before and I'm feeling fine, except maybe allergies, taken for granted from my last negative test 3 weeks ago, that the result would be the same despite the drive to Jersey. I used antibacterial gel after every unnapkined transaction, washed hands, wore different masks daily, counting backwards. Was it a gas pump without a glove? Was it? The view from here is the edge of a bed. The view from here is still being able to smell and taste, but for how long? The view from here is my best friends kidnapped me because that is the best option. So it's not really kidnapping as much as whatever clothes I left at their house last time and filling in the rest. The view from here is the squirrel in the yard, 3 huge birds surfing the sky, the big, beautiful sky and buds of spring about to open. March. The Ides keep coming. Last year, now this. Not perfect months of birthday years anymore. Just give us all the cake already. And after this reading, give us all the cake. And the comfort of frozen cream or their substitutes. My body now belongs to science and outpatient teams, telehealth, and a new book of numbers, as I'm old enough to remember address and phone books. My job now is to get better, to chase a negative, the irony in that, to chase a flat line as proof of wellness. My job is what many people already know, with the intimacy of a pillow or a medicinal port with chronic pains and changed plans. Have you tried this? Bullshit. Phone tag and repetitive questions, the tedium of unsolicited advice. The view from here is inside out and more than, why me? What's next for me? Every twinge, throat tickle, gut rumble, muscle or joint ache. I inhale. I eat to taste the food, the salt. Will this go away? Is the turn still coming? But counting backwards, before New Jersey, before the family home waiting for me to clean it, the parents now gone, who I don't want to follow into that dark night. This is where my mind goes, the mental games of illness, the lies of causes. Maybe it happened from grocery aisle passerby. Maybe someone who walked too close to me. The gas pump, the coffee counter. Should I tell the barista I saw yesterday? What have I touched? Who did I breathe toward? If you have to ask, you know the answer. I count backwards. The days between last negative and this news. The criteria land somewhere around remembering my last period. I walk in the park, an open car window, a person I ordered food from, the guy who filled my car with air the day before the tire went flat for real, but the how doesn't erase the now, and I move around in the world. It's spun like a roulette in this movie, Run Lola Run, with different options and maybe the same result. I think our culture, really loves to have solutions and causes and fixings. And sometimes we just get sick. It's what bodies do. And this is called carpet ripping. My father passed away during the COVID years in a kind of adjacent way. And then there was this going back up to New Jersey and back to take care of some of the house. Carpet ripping. Listening to the sound of the carpet ripped up from a slab's floor, I'm in the other room, the one outside, the sun porch. I hear two voices inside. My nose is filled with something like dirt, a kidhood odor of cactus and concrete. The sound of the ripping is visceral. This is the carpet my father stood on to receive news of my mother's passing. This is the carpet of mold, of decay, of rot. This is the carpet my dad fell and died on. And I can't go in that room. I hear the ripping and think of what's been torn away from life in this timeless time when years, clocks, schedules lost their meaning. I think of how much energy I used to spend in full rooms, inside with friends, with all my teeth showing. How even as masks come off, I long for just eyes over the edges, relying on reading them. As I hear the ripping, I don't know what is left of the me from before this. The stripping away to the bones of who and what and where to set intentions. I feel people slipping away from virtual squares into real life boxes. The ripping of the carpet is just more of the ground underneath me shifting, unanswered, pulling up roots and familiarities, the word familiar, reshaping what I already know. Friends are family. I hear the ripping while I notice I still have feet and can stand on my own or ask a friend and lean and ugly cry into available shoulders. Nothing happens in a vacuum, even in isolation. Isolation, a sort of lie. The lesson of the last few years is to ask for help. And it's okay to just sit here, to take a breath, take a break, embrace stillness, to be still. And in this sorting of objects, there's the sorting of the objects that represent people as the thing. And then I wrote this poem, Remnants, which is a revisable list of what I can't discard. Crushed eyeliner in the bottom of a travel pouch. These boots and shoes from a friend at a leather store a Starbucks took over. The cracked clay goddess figurine from the best friend who no longer speaks to me because of a poem, because of too many deaths, because I lead a dared life. My grip, my metatarsal aches with the memory of a mermaid who said she would drown right before she did. Elliott Smith and all the soft boys whose femininity blurs their edges with clumsy, fumbly, mumbly acoustic lyrics through grit teeth masculinity. People who make me feel like a man or a top, whatever the fuck that means. Mosquito stung memories of guitars whining and shredding DC monuments to whiteness. The moment I rode a bus and gave the world my lover back as they cycled away, watching their hair in the breeze, the street swallowing them. Their name changes. The ways our relationship was trans before their transition. I have whole rooms of objects outlining their owners. Remembering is how I parent. Remembering is how I mirror, mother. Remembering remnants is how I therapy friend, how I hug deal, how I hold on to and don't know my own strength. Wind chimes of last conversations and last times I knew were last times. The trauma of last times. The mystery of why I am still here. These are also remnants, but not for long. So I'm going to do one more piece from the book and then a couple of things that I'm going to work on for that 30-30 motherfucking business. Some new shit-ish, new-ish. So ask for help for Kelly. Ask for help and love answers. Love asks a lot of questions and doesn't have conversations under an hour. Love calendars plans and makes notes for the future. Love would never call you stupid for a stupid thing you did. Love brings a ring to an accidental honeymoon suite. Love keeps eggshells and cartons of the trash never on the floor. Love trusts you enough to fall asleep in your arms. Love kisses you like last chocolate in missing bowl. Love turns and unwraps your sandwich for you when you can only use one hand. Love holds your hand during the blood draw. Love appears with a vanilla milkshake. Love asks what you need and really wants an honest answer. Love says things about glue and isn't afraid of how cheesy that is. Love melts you from the inside out. Love likes making laundry with you. Love shows up and keeps showing up. Love sends you funny pictures when you're stressed the fuck out. Love streams movies with you on weeknights. Love is your friend who no longer wants to be just your friend. Love casts a spell in a Lowe's parking lot with only her eyes over a mask, and you are never the same. Love left a lot out of this because it's still being written. So I want to do, because this keeps happening, women who sang in the 80s and 90s keep dying. And So I haven't written the thing about Sinead yet, but that's going to happen. This is the thing about Dolores, though, from the Cranberries. You didn't move on, and you did at the same time. Didn't slip in the bathtub that was someone I actually knew. And another song, these were people who died. Singers like repetition. Lyrics over and over again. Trite endings remaining true. It's just your attitude. It's tearing me apart. It's ruining every day. When your voice was more breathy whisper, softer, less diatribe, I can't take this anymore. I decided to leave, walked out through the door. The CD with these songs, insidiously, a gift from one of my roughest partners, the one who pushed me over ice, the one too drunk to fuck, the one with DUI who cracked open a beer at 9 a.m. behind the wheel of a Suzuki Samurai. And you always prove me wrong because you're always putting me down. Cutting, the softness of it, the femme of it. Songs that at that time felt like past cigarettes, one girl to another. You're so pretty the way you are, and you have no reason to be so insolent to me. You're so pretty the way you are. I loved that CD until I couldn't hear it anymore without thinking of rattling empty bottles, the cold clink of ice slipping under my arm and back. I'm so sorry liquor saturated their life and yours. And the words we use for it, hammered, pickled, 3 sheets to the wind, underwater, sailor in a bathtub toward uncharted territory. What's in your head? In your head. Now empty, gone, lingering. The way even now the songs get stuck in my head without you alive. A repetition. The discography of zombie, zombie, zombie. And so I wanted to do this thing because I actually have like a fair chunk of pieces that are based on punk shows and bands and whatnot. And so I do want to make a collection of that stuff. This is after a show. Soft lashes, wet, squishy eyes. I am a furious animal. Skin hot, I have never not been in heat and all fired up. I am made of flint. Scrape me with the hardest sounds underwater. Huge creature moan, crunchy guitar, and thick mud bass while arms flail beat drums, while a woman wail sings, unafraid of shriek. I am this and a sweaty crowd, hot with beer and pheromones. This is who I am, shaken, voyeur with fists at the end of elbow flex. I am pillow skin with fang and lip, flurry woman frustrated by world, badass and short skirt stomping, heel with words and guitar smart, jeans with seams, and boots and rolled up sleeve, clothes made for moving, spotlight and energy, the work of an arty creature. It's physical, rehearsed and revised with purpose, right here at this show. Muscular is exactly what it is like to be this modern kind of woman, on fire, thick, fighting, crunching, ear ringing the next day, anger and love owned, mouth brain demanding witness, and loud. So that was after a Sleater Kinney show. Anyway. And then this is a response poem, 15 Ways to Stay Alive by Daphne Gottlieb. And I'm just started working on this today. Sort of an update to her poem. So her poem is the first thing I read, and then I read a response. Offer the wolves your arm only from the elbow down. Leave tourniquet space. Do not offer them your calves. Do not offer them your side. Do not let them near your femoral artery or your jugular. Give them only your arm. And my response. Throw them a bootstrap, the one you tried to pull yourself up with that broke in your hand. Give the wolves a knot of hair so that they may choke on it later. Wear chapstick when kissing the bomb. Mark them with your max factor, the kind of headwig lip that takes 3 layers to put on. Glitter gets everywhere. Stain them with your kiss off. Pretend you don't know English. Your language is more frightening with snarl. Be dominatrix with your wild eyes and guttural throat. Pretend you never met her. Remind yourself it's not your fault for meeting them or what happened afterwards. Offer the bomb to the wolves. Offer the wolves to the zombies. Offer trail treats to the wolves in spirals. Make them chase each other. Run circles, which will invite others in predator land to catch them. Only insert clean knife into your chest. Rusty ones will cause tetanus or infection. If you're feeling the temptations of serrated edges, steak knives, the glinting jaws of knives and sets and cooking supply windows, remember foldable camping utensils, plastic sporks. They even make those compostable now. Don't inhale. Breathe slowly. Long exhale. Realize that this love was not your train wreck, was not the truck that flattened you, was not your Waterloo, did not cause massive hemorrhaging from a rusty knife. That love is still to come. This love was not your disaster to fix, your hurricane to eye, your formula to solve. Heartbreak is a minor tremor to actual cardiac arrest and age. People are not disposable, but remember the compostable spork. Use a rusty knife to cut through most of the noose in strategic places so it breaks when your weight lands on it. It's okay to feel ideas, like wanting to not be on this world's axis, the spin of nauseating merry-go-round again. Take the real steak knife to break out of the cycles looped in rope. We are witches, but not to hang. Practice desperate pleas for attention, louder calls for help. Learn them in English, French, Spanish, Mayday, adios. Ask for help. Pick a source whose language you know. Ask for consent before setting your dumpster on fire in front of them because they might have asthma or long COVID. If they can't provide the matches, don't take it personally. Find a friend who smokes or lights candles or someone who uses you regularly as therapy friend so you can return the emotional labor. Don't kiss train wrecks. Don't kiss knives. Don't kiss. Don't kiss train wrecks. Don't kiss serrated knives. Don't kiss if the kiss doesn't return to you. Pretend you made up the zombies and only superheroes exist. Pretend you are the Avatar, the superhero, the wolf. Pretend there is no kryptonite. I love how kryptonite showed up more than once. Pretend tools of the war trades are not being trafficked in your world anymore. Pretend there was no love so sweet that you could have died for it. Pretend that it does not belong to someone else now. Pretend like your heart depends on it because it does. Pretend there is no wreck. You watched the train go by and felt the air breeze on your face, and that was it. Another train passing. You do not need trains. You can fly. You are a superhero, and there is no kryptonite. Pretend all this had purpose. Pretend that love is made for living rather than dying for. Pretend that the love they have with someone else is released from your responsibility. They never were yours to worry about anyway. You belong to yourself now, just as always. Your heart depends on maybe medication and lack of stress more than ever. And they were stress, both great and bad. Feel the wreck of them pass on as wind in your face, blowing off the dirt of their messiness. Forget her name. Remember the names of people in your family tree, both blood and maid, who have survived before you. Remember your own name and say it 3 times out loud to reclaim it, with or without a mirror. So thank you all. Thank you, Billy, especially for reminding us of 3030 because now I got to be on that shit. Yes. And next book's coming. Yes.
Go, Karen.
So you know what? You're in a bookstore. Karen wrote a book.
Karen wrote a book.
Y'all can buy a book in a bookstore that Karen wrote. And there's cake.
You can buy.
Sorry, online people, there's no cake for you.
There's no cake, but there is a book. So
There is a book.
let's say goodnight to our online folks.
Good night, online folks. Thank you all, everybody, for
Thank
sharing
you
and for being
with
here.
us. We appreciate you. Come see us in person next month if you
There
would
will
like.
be no cake.
There won't be cake, probably. I don't know. We can make cake a regular thing. Good night, y'all.
Wait,
We
yeah,
appreciate
that's
you.
birthday.